The catalog web service is comprised of the following: a commerce application, and the commerce application actually points to either a IIS website or a VDIR depending on how you installed it. And of course the VDIR or the site has catalog web service.asmx, which is the web service and all of the methods that you need to access the catalog system. The catalog authorization store.xml, which stores all of the security credentials of who can access the website and the methods for the web service. Catalog web services web config has some configuration values, and then export catalog.aspx for exporting catalogs from the web service. The application pool sets the security credentials and talking between the web service and the database. The catalog authorization store.xml is the security between the application and the web service. So what's a commerce web application and how do you install this? The commerce web application is stored in pub, and so you unpackage a site in order to install all of the variables that you see below. So actually the best way to describe this is if we go through the demo and see how everything works. To install a catalog application, either through pub or open up your commerce manager, then navigate to the site, and then under applications you can add that in there. So here in C# site we already have a few applications here. We also have our catalog web service. If this web service did not exist and you wanted to add it, you basically would right click and add a new application. You would choose from which pub you wanted to install the web service, and then uncheck the applications you don't want and select only the catalog web service. Select next. It will ask you what do you want to call the commerce application name, what do you want to have the path to the virtual directory, and then also the IIS site. So we're not going to install it since we already have one here. If you navigate to the application and look at some of its properties, notice that we are pointing to our local machine, and here's the path to the application, and as far as the web server, it's located in the default web server. So if you want to open up the Visual Studio and navigate to the website, select File, Open, Website. From the website, select our C# site. And now we have access to the authorization store, our web service. The CS app.ini is not required. You can delete this. Of course, our export, and then our web config. So if we were to look at the catalog web service, basically it's inheriting from the catalog web service class. So you can actually extend the web services and inherit from this catalog web service and perform additional logic before the web methods are called. Looking at the web config, it has a configuration section handler. In this section handler we have the catalog web service config section handler, and basically we look for catalog web service. So under this configuration, so the section group is called commerce server, and so we have started here on this element, and then the next element is the catalog web service. So if you scroll down, we have our catalog web service, and the values here are the site name, which site it needs to connect to, the authorization policy path, the path to where this XML file is. Since it's the local, it's stored without any slashes or the physical path. The debug level, whether it's production or debug. Chunk size, how much file is at the time that it transfers. The upload size, how big of a file it's going to transfer back and forth. And the timeout, and then of course is the inventory enabled versus disabling the authorization. If you set this to false, then it's not going to look at the catalog authorization store. What's interesting here is also the maximum search result is 500. So the results being returned is 500. There is also a flag in Catalog Manager that has this value. So if you set this to a higher value and you're not seeing those results being returned, you need to go to the Catalog Web Service, download the source code for Partner SDK, modify some lines of code to get more results back. This is a bug within the Catalog Manager, because really this config value should handle how many records are returned based on the search you perform. And then of course there are some cache values. Cache is enabled. There's the schema timeout for 5 minutes, the item information cache, and some other values in there. And they're all set by default of 5 minutes. So this concludes our Catalog Web Service demo.